part interview, part commentary track, all podcast. Watching Robocop with Kid Power. Our very special guest, Edward Lorn. Hello everybody, welcome to Watching Robocop with Kit Power, episode 17. That's right, the epic voyage continues. It's never ending, it's never going to stop. I'm going to keep watching this movie until I can't anymore. And I'll keep recording the conversations, you lucky, lucky people. So who's Edward Lorn? Let's start with that. A guest. Well, he's a horror author, a prolific horror author. His books include The Sound of Broken Ribs and Cruelty. And he is a superb horror writer. He's also, as you'll hear as the interview continues, he's a critic. He does a lot of reviews on Goodreads of books. Something he doesn't like to plug, but something that I plug for him because I think it's one of the strengths of his bow. He's also an opinionated human being. I think it's fair to say. I'm sure he would accept that as a description. I don't mean that as criticism, merely observation. And it turns out he's almost as big a Robocopers fan as me. So we got a really good podcast out of it, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Before I do that, just a little bit of housekeeping as normal. I've got a new book out. So a little while ago, Patreon backers will be aware of this because some of them, the $3 backers, will actually have read this story already because they watched me write it. I was given a piece of abstract optical art, black and white pop art, and asked to write a short story inspired by that piece of art, which was a very exciting brief, as were 11 other immensely talented indie authors. And those stories and the art that inspired them have now been compiled in a book called Visions from the Void, and Visions from the Void will be available by the time you hear this from Amazon. This is available in paperback or via Kindle, and it contains loads of other entries. Adam Millard's in there, Paula Ash is in there, I'm in there, and loads of other talented writers. I can't speak for anyone else's because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm getting my copy tomorrow, but I can tell you the piece I wrote for it was one of the most experimental things I've ever done, and I'm really proud with how it came out. So if that piques your interest, I can thoroughly recommend going and picking that up from Amazon. My latest publication. Really exciting. It's kind of been the year of the short story for me, really, because I've had Visions from the Void just come out. It's as previously announced, so in New Fears 2, which will be coming out with Titan Books and officially launching at FCon. And there is another anthology which I cannot yet announce, but I just signed the contract and sent it back literally 2 days ago for another anthology. Very, very proud to be a part of that. It's an ongoing anthology series, and just incredibly proud to be invited to take part in that. And oh no, I can't tell you about the other thing yet. Okay, so that's that. You've heard me talk about the Tommy book before. I guess I will mention the fact that the Tommy book is painfully close to completion now. And by completion, I mean, of course, a draft that's ready to go to the editor. I'm hoping for an end-of-year release, but watch this space. It will very much depend on how much work that needs, but I'm very excited about it. And, of course, a reminder, if you want early access to Watching Robocop with Kit Power, if you want early access to My Life in Horror by Kit Power, if you want weekly either bonus early access or exclusive, in some cases, access to my fiction, non-fiction, and audio work, head on over to patreon.com/kitpower, and for a pledge as little as $1 a month, you will get something from me every week that is at the very least way ahead of release, and in some cases exclusive, and that includes at least 7 day guaranteed 7 days early access to Watching Robocop with Kit Power, and My Life in Horror by Kit Power, the 2 monthly pieces I'm currently producing. So here we go. We'll watch Robocop now with Edward Lorn, or E as he's known to his friends. Just a couple of brief notes about the show you're about to hear. Firstly, apologies for the slight delay. It affects roughly the first sort of 20 to 30 minutes of the recording. You will hear a little bit of us talking over each other and a slight delay. I think that was just down to either issues with the internet signal or possibly the processing speed at my end. It does even out after the 30-minute mark. It's not terrible. The whole thing's listenable to, otherwise I wouldn't be putting it out. But just be aware if you find that slightly distracting at first, I promise you it will clear up fairly soon. Listen out for discussions of horror movie heroes and villains, the awesomeness of Weller, world building, riffing on ED209 as a Doberman, the endlessly shifting power dynamics within the film, and much, much more. Let's watch Robocop, shall we?
So it is my great pleasure to welcome to the show Edward Lorn. Long days and pleasant nights, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Kit. Thanks for having me, man.
It's great to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and we've had to battle some technical demons to get this together. So I'm really happy we're managing to make this happen. We'll start the show with the 5 questions, the same 5 questions I ask every guest. So we will start with, how old were you when you first saw Robocop?
I was either 7 or 8. The movie came out in '87, and we went on release night. My sister and her then husband, I think this is part of the reason why no longer her husband, but they took me to see it on opening night. So I was 8. I was 7 or 8 years old, and yeah, wow. It was an experience. Yeah.
I would think that does mark you amongst the lowest age of a guest to first see it. So, okay, well, I look forward to exploring that more as we go on. Second question: how many times have you seen Robocop?
Rough guesstimate, I would say at least 100 times. It's one of my favorite movies. It's definitely in the top 5. I watched of course, I saw it in theaters. I watched it on VHS, wore the VHS tape out, bought another VHS, and then when we upgraded to DVD, got it on DVD, and now I have it on Blu-ray.
Awesome. So a fellow centurion of Robocop. We like that. That's fantastic. Okay, question number 3. When's the last time you saw Robocop?
A couple months back, I watched it with my daughter for the first time. She was 12 at the time, and it was I think she had a much better experience than I did when I first watched it. I think I was kind of traumatized the first time I watched it, but she liked it.
Oh, that's great, man. Getting to watch it with your kid. That's fantastic. I have a little way to go yet. My little girl's 8, so I think I'm going to leave it a few more years. But how did she find it then? She enjoyed it, yeah?
Yeah. She, I think the worst part, and I'm not sure if we'll talk, I want to talk about the actual scene when we get to it, so I'll go ahead and say it now. The shootout, what makes Robocop Robocop, that whole scene, I think that was the only part that got to her. And other than that, she was fine. She liked it.
Okay, so yeah, Murphy's execution. That's rough though, man. That's a heavy scene. I'm not surprised. Okay, cool. So, question number.
Yeah, it was especially
okay. So
it was especially rough for little 8-year-old me. Sorry.
Yeah, oh my goodness! Yeah, we'll get to that. I expect.
Yeah.
So question number 4. No wrong answers here. Why do you think Robocop is the greatest movie ever made?
I would say probably because it was my introduction to like brutal cinema or brutal storytelling. I don't think before I saw that I knew how brutal you could go with fiction. I've been a writer, a storyteller ever since I was 5, 6, ever since I could read and write, and I'd never realized that you could put things like that in your fiction. I always thought it was princesses and rainbows and knights and sorcerers and all that stuff. And it changed the way I looked at movies and just fiction in general.
I think there's something about the first time as a kid that you encounter kind of adult fiction in that sense. And by adult, I mean like, in terms of violent content rather than necessary sex. But I think there is something about that because I had a similar, I know that King's an influence on you as well, same as me. And there's a similar thing with King where I read King way too young and like this film, it had a kind of blowing the doors off effect,
Yeah, my first King was later. It was, I think I was 13. It was the release of Dolores Claiborne was my first book by him, and I'd already been watching horror movies. After RoboCop was kind of like my introduction to brutality, and I was like, I need more of this. This is not my aesthetic really. I don't want to sound like a psychopath, but it's like I dig this. This is cool.
You're among friends, don't worry. Okay, cool. So finally, if I could just yeah, no, you're good, mate. You're good. If I could finally just ask which version of RoboCop we're watching tonight for the people listening along.
We are watching the theatrical version.
Fantastic. So we're sitting down with 8-year-old E and 11-year-old Kit, and they'll be our co-pilots for this. As indeed are you, if you're listening to this, and if you are listening to this and watching the film along with us, well, firstly, You're just awesome, and I need you to know that, because that's what a fantastic way to choose to spend your time. You have exquisite taste, don't ever change. Secondly, we are about to start watching the film together, so E, if you can hover your finger over the pause button, I'll do my usual count backwards from 5, and then when I get to 0, we'll hit play, and we will be watching Robocop. So, are you ready?
I'm all ready.
Awesome. So then, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... Go Robo. And the lion roars.
Yes, roar, roar.
And this is like, I'm just going to be honest about this. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to be honest about this for the people listening. We already tried to record this show once, and we got through the first 20 minutes, so there's going to be some repetition for Ian and I. But yeah, we're talking about before about the Orion Pictures logo, and a mark of quality, I think, for an 80s and 90s child.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And that and Canon, maybe not quality for Canon, but but those two cinemas, those opening shots of the not the title, but the company name were so iconic for me growing up. It was either Canon or Orion were my favorite movies. Right, absolutely. This part with the with the news, and this messed me all up when I was a kid. When this came on, I remember sitting there going, "Why are we watching the news? Why is the news playing before the movie? I don't care about any of this."
It's such a weird opening for an action movie, isn't it? I mean, I love it because I love the storytelling. I think it's very, very smart indeed. It's show don't tell, right? It's here's the universe you're in, but it doesn't do it through a voiceover or caption. It just puts you, it sits you down and lets you watch. This is what the news is like, and there's the stories themselves, what they tell you about where you are, but also the way it's presented tells you a lot about the world you're in. It's really good storytelling, I think.
That's true. I agree with everything you said. And it's and later on, I didn't come to appreciate it, of course, until I became an adult. Where the storytelling worked. Can we just talk about this dude's hair for a second? I mean, there's like toupees
I feel like we have to.
By Helmet.
Well, it's toupees by John Kerry, I think, fairly precisely. It's a pretty dead fit there, man.
Oh, he's definitely John Kerry. Look at him. We care. Yeah.
It's so great that it's so.
Have you ever seen? Sorry, have you ever seen Repo the Genetic Opera?
No.
Oh, okay. There's organs. The whole story is the organs get repossessed if you don't pay for them, and he talks about financing that heart. And I'm wondering if the guy that wrote Repo the Genetic Opera got the idea from that scene.
That is so dark, man. The idea that your Yamaha heart could be repossessed, man, that is absolutely terrifying. I feel like
if you're a fan, if you're a fan at all of like Rocky Horror Picture Show, I definitely suggest looking up Repo the Genetic Opera. It's a musical, but it is dark and it is horror, and it's amazing. I loved it.
Oh, okay. No, that sounds like fun. I like the sound of that. But yeah, it's a great bit of storytelling, and I love how you go from the slickness of the television broadcast studio to this really dingy, smoke-filled precinct room that looks like an early '80s police precinct. Right? It's really grimy and old school.
Oh yeah. There's definitely that feel to it. And I remember watching this as a kid, going, "What's wrong with the screen? Why is it foggy inside the police station?" I'd never been in a bar or anything like that, man. But I was like, why is it so foggy?
Right. It's one of those great things as well. I think about like the stuff that they predict about the future and the stuff they don't. The idea that public areas would be a smoke-free zone, that was just wild fantasy. No one really believed that. So.
Oh yeah. Everybody smoked back then, man. I mean, everybody. You walk down the street and see toddlers with cigarettes. I'm kidding, of course, but I mean that's how bad it was at one point.
Well, I'm pretty sure the dogs smoked, didn't they, back then? I don't know. I think this is my first. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is my first ever on-screen titties. I'm pretty sure it was my first on-screen boobs. Well, there you go.
And it was a defining moment of my childhood. right there.
It's a big moment, man. There it is. It's a big moment for a growing lad, no question. And I have to say, I like the fact that. Go on.
I was just saying, my sister slapped the crap out of me at that scene because I was I was watching along, and then all of a sudden, boobs, and she tried to put her hand over my eyes, but she did it so quickly that she just ended up slapping the shit out of me.
It's just smacked you in the face. Cheers, sis.
Yep, exactly.
Oh dear. I do like the fact of a Hogan's an equal opportunity nudist, though. We have plenty of there's male and female nudity all going on there. Very European.
There's plenty of man ass. Yeah, man ass and breasts, definitely.
Yep.
Oh. Peter Weller.
I love
man.
a bit of
I don't
union
think I've seen
politics
him in a
there as
movie
well
since
for you.
Screamers.
Oh. No, he's I don't know. I think he has officially retired from acting. I think I read that like a year or so ago. But yeah, what an incredible performer.
Did he pat her on
and
the
you know,
ass?
like he spent
I just
did he
realized
what?
that. Does Murphy does he pat the hooker on the ass there in that scene where shit, like there's a hooker that's walking in front of him, and I think he actually pats her on the ass. I never noticed that. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh no, I'm going to have to watch Robocop again to find out. I don't know. It went too quick. There's certainly some kind of exchange between them, though. She gives him the eye, doesn't she? I remember that. She kind of looks appreciatingly at him.
Yeah,
He's a kind of handsome
I think
devil,
it happens right.
honest. He's a good-looking man.
Yeah, he is. Peter Weller, definitely. Yes, man crush, definitely. But I think it's right after she turns around and gives him the eye, and then it looks like his shoulder kind of moves, and it looks like he pats her on the butt. It's like, go on, we'll talk later, kind of deal.
Surely not. He's a professional. I'm not sure that's what's going on. Well, you're giving me something to go back and watch for next time. Oh man.
Yeah, I want to see this part. If it's as obvious as when they're going down the elevator later, I could tell that it was a painting. See, in this one's much better than the one where they're coming down the elevator.
Yeah, it is.
That actually looks like buildings.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's the angle pointing upwards, and it is. That's quite a convincing shot. I wonder what went wrong with because it is. You're right. Yeah. There's a lovely, really long tracking shot coming up here as well, where they walk through the boardroom doors, and then we have the same shot, and it carries on all the way round to the Delta City model. We're in one shot now. It's a great bit of filmmaking because it picks up the old man and Dick Jones as they walk past him and comes back around the boardroom table.
Right. Well, pay attention to the model this time. When you look at the model, there's that round thing on top. That's the sourdough banneton, the thing they use to raise the dough for sourdough. It's coming up. Well, I think we're a little on the laggy side here, but it's right in the middle of it. It looks like a top turned over. It's a dome kind of thing. Sycophants.
Yeah. I love the way that Bob's applauding that particular line, though. There's a lovely thing there where it's like he's out on his own because he's got the Robocop project in his back pocket, so he wants to be the guy who's like bigging up the anti-crime message. It's really like it's actually a character moment there, you know?
Yeah, definitely character building.
And I love Miguel Ferrer. I mean, he's like, I don't think he ever got to play like the romantic lead, did he? He's always a kind of
No, definitely not. Definitely not the romantic lead. No. That's funny.
What a wonderful character actor, though. Do you know what I mean? And he plays the kind of compromised or slimy villain so well, and I think he's wonderful in this.
He was in The Stand. He was what's his? Oh man, I can't remember the character's name, but he's the one in the miniseries where he's in jail.
That's
prison,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He played a slime bag in that one too. He just does it so well.
He does it so well. Yeah, and he was. I mean, he was wonderful in Twin Peaks as well. He was like absolutely fantastic. It was like the most unpleasant FBI agent in the world.
I'm gonna duck so you don't throw anything at me, but I've never actually seen Twin Peaks.
Oh really?
Oh,
interesting.
Not the first one or the reboot.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yes.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. I was saying he's such an iconic monster.
Yes.
At least to me, he's definitely one of the most iconic monsters of filmland. He's up there with Dracula and the Wolfman, all that. Frankenstein. I mean, I'd throw him up there in at least the top 5.
Yeah, I think that's a really good show. And I think the fact that he's in the stop frame tradition is part of that. I don't know why, but you know what I mean, like because
yes.
I mean, it wouldn't be too much longer in movie-making terms where stop frame would just die completely. CG and computer animation would replace it. But this is, I think we're very lucky with Robocop that we're towards the end of the usefulness of stop frame, and therefore we get this last great stop frame monster with ED-209.
Yeah, that definitely. I agree. It was the end of an era, and. But it was done so fantastically well. I mean, we can tell these days that it's green screen and things like however they did it with the claymation, not claymation, but stop motion is what I'm trying to say. But it was so well done. Yeah. I mean, still to this day, it doesn't take me out of the movie seeing it move.
Yeah. Well, and it's it's so great. But it's a combination of tricks, isn't it? There are physical models, and then it cuts to stop frame. You've got green screen, and the way those tricks are combined and the way it's edited is what keeps it real. It's fantastic work, absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
And this, now, how was 8-year-old you with this? Because I remember this freaked me out the first time I saw it.
I remember sitting there, man, and thinking. Well, I still think, oh, he's going to be fine. There's no way this thing's going to kill him. There's no way. I'm still like, he dropped the gun. Why would it kill him? And it's like, what? Innocent people can die? What?
Yeah. It's a massive.
You got to realize, right, up until this movie, it was all like Disney features for me,
Right.
I was raised in a very conservative Christian household, and this is probably like the first. This is the first. It is the first brutal. I don't want to say horror, but it is the first brutal movie I ever watched. Yeah. And I think that's why it stuck with me so long. Not only that, but it's just a fantastic movie. Love this part.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. And it's a double whammy, isn't it? Because it's a great line, and then the follow-up where you realise, like, oh, he's disappointed because of the money it's going to cost. He's not worried about the guy who's just been turned a hamburger. That doesn't bother him at all.
Yeah. That's corporate America, man. That's it's a villain unto itself in this. It's corporate America, and
yeah.
Oh
yeah, no, totally. These are the real bad guys. These are the guys like they're just utterly like amoral. Ugh. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, you can even say that these are the guys that are responsible for the crime down on the streets because just the hoarding of wealth.
Yep. Well, yeah, there's that, and of course Dick Jones, we know, like we find out later, is funding at least some of it directly, right? So he's playing both sides, and then of course they're deliberately underfunding the police force in order to create Robocop candidates, right? So they're deliberately putting police force in danger and policemen in danger and harm's way. I mean, it's so cynical, this film, man. It's brutally cynical. And
but we don't get action movies like this with this kind of depth anymore either. No. I mean, it's very rare that you come across sci-fi action, whatever, something like this. I don't know, this isn't cyberpunk, but see, like, okay, this, real quick, I want to make note of this. That's definitely a picture painting on the left-hand side.
Absolutely.
Whereas the last time they were in the elevator, it would look much better. But, we just don't get movies like this anymore. We don't.
I agree, and I don't think it's action movies. I think it's movies in general. Where the depth is happening these days is TV, if it's happening at all.
This is true. I agree with that 100%.
And there is some amazing storytelling happening on television. But yeah, movies, I don't know what the hell's happened with movies in the last sort of 15, 20 years, but people don't seem to want to tell deep stories anymore in 2 hours. It's very strange.
I think part of the problem with it is the state of the world. Just how much of a cluster,
Yeah. No, you can curse. Go for it.
The world. Okay, how much of a clusterfuck this world is right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
People just want brainless entertainment. They want to go and they want to eat their popcorn in the dark and they want to maybe kiss their girlfriend and they just want to, watch a big stupid Michael Bay action flick. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think that's why. I really think that's why. It's just people are just tired of the bullshit and they want that escape.
Well,
they don't want a message.
Yeah, except that, there's some really dark, interesting stuff happening on TV where people are, I mean, stuff like Breaking Bad and, Sopranos is a few years old now, but, there's still, really high-quality drama that really gets under the hood of, psychology and scary real-world stuff, so... But maybe that's the difference. Maybe you're right. Maybe people are going out to see popcorn and they're staying in for the scary stuff. Yeah, okay.
The deeper storytelling is more on a personal level, so you can watch it. You can sit at home and you can watch it on your television screen, and not have to. You can shut out the world and be in your own comfort, and that way you can deal with those things. But when you go out, man, you just want to go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, this is. Good.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yes. You were talking about the character development. This is about as far as we got, really, last time.
Yeah. No,
the character development of these.
Well, last time we talked about this gang and just how and I think it was your observation, but it's incredible how, they get a very small number of lines, and yet we know all these characters. They're all they've got a distinct look to them. They've got distinct character to them. It's very, very efficient, the storytelling of this film.
True. And another thing is the almost reverse kind of slasher movie that this takes on by this point.
Yes.
Because instead of having a bad guy killer going after a group of, teenagers or innocents or whatever, you have this awesome kick-ass Robocop guy going after this band and just slowly picking these jokers off, one at a time kind of deal.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. As a fan of slasher movies, I really appreciate that part of it.
Well, it's an interesting observation, and of course the thing that they've kind of got in common, especially like the archetypal Friday the 13th style slashers, you could read Friday the 13th if you wanted to as a revenge story, right? Jason is endlessly getting revenge against the camp counselors that let him drown. And of course, in the first movie,
it's a morality tale too.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty Old Testament, but yeah, sure. And of course,
no, I agree. Yes, Old Testament. No sex, no drugs, no alcohol. That
exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for that time, but that's what scary stories have usually been for, like urban legends.
Yeah.
Parents telling their kids, like the hook story. Don't go out and make out because some guy with a hook might come and try and kill you in your car.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I'm perennially fascinated by with horror as a genre, actually. Horror is, it has this inherent small c conservatism to it, And I think, I've spoken about this before in other contexts. I think for me, it's a function of, if you want to tell a horror story, people have got to get squished. So the way you squish people is, as soon as they step off the path, you've got an excuse to squish them. So it's not. I think it's really like the morality follows the functionality of the form, if you see what I mean. But it still means that horror often is kind of is small c conservative, even reactionary often, which is kind of interesting. And I say that as a lifelong fan and writer of horror, by the way. I don't mean that in a negative thing, but It's just an interesting observation.
No. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. That's a damn good point. And you're right. That's another reason why horror movies are fun. The really good ones may give you some kind of reason, no matter how backwards or, like you said, Old Testament they usually give you some kind of reason to root for that killer, especially slasher films.
Yeah.
No matter how minute it is, like, well, if they weren't, trying to have sex in the top of the barn, Jason never would have went up there and stuck him with a pitchfork,
It is weird though, that thing, because like they're very teenage. I always think of slasher movies as a very teenage experience. So when I watch them, I go back to being a teenager, and yet they're about teenagers getting killed, and yet I love it. It's a very odd thing. I don't know It's a weird kind of alchemy, that, isn't it? How that works. Because you're right, you do end up rooting for the killer, or at least enjoying the killer's work, knowing they'll get their comeuppance at the end. I guess I don't know, but
yeah. Other than like Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street,
yeah,
you don't hear too many people, you don't hear that too many people have hero worship of the heroes. Everybody loves Freddy, everybody loves Jason, everybody loves Mike Myers, everybody loves Chucky, Pinhead, all that stuff. You don't hear too much about the heroes.
No, that's true. I've got a soft spot for Nancy, actually, from the first two Hellraiser movies as well. But I take your point. It's absolutely. And they're not iconic. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? They're not iconic in the way the villains are.
Exactly. That's my point. Yes.
Absolutely.
And the hero changes from movie to movie, but the villain's always the same.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. And they really last. I mean, I remember watching. God, we're getting a little off topic here, but that's okay. It's a conversational podcast. I remember watching like the first time I saw Elm Street 3, and when Nancy got bumped off, man, I was totally freaked by that.
Yeah,
that was a massive moment.
That was an affecting moment, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh yeah, talking of iconic villains, by the way.
Yep.
Here he comes.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, I love Kurtwood Smith, but this has got to be a career best performance in this film, right? I mean, this is just...
Oh, definitely, hands down. Even Red, in, what was it, that 70s show?
That 70s
comes
show,
nowhere close to this.
No. And he's got a pretty good turn in Dead Poets as well, but this is something else, man. Something else.
I haven't watched Dead Poet Society since it came out.
Yeah, that's a heavy movie, man. But I mean, Weller does good in this scene as well, actually. I love how, because he does a lot to sell the menace of it just by the fear on his face,
Oh yeah, he nailed this part. This part, it really, when we get to the actual scene, but I'll talk more about it, but this part, man, this damaged me.
Yeah.
This like, you can't do this. He's a cop. There's just so much of a coming of age moment to realize that things like this, and maybe not while I was watching it, but going home and going, does this kind of thing actually happen?
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah, sure. I think for me as well, there was a thing of like, actually, the reason this got me so badly as a bit of storytelling was it's set up as a buddy movie, right? A buddy cop movie between him and Nancy Allen. And then 20 minutes into the buddy movie, one of the buddies is just blown away. And it's like, what? It's totally breaking all the rules. You think you've got a script in your head of where the story's going, and then this happens, and you're just like, wait, what now?
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Every time I see it, it hurts.
Oh. And it's so weird, isn't it? Because you get, like, the execution of Kenny in the boardroom. The first time it was horrifying, but it becomes funny in retrospect. You watch it a few times and you realise the comedy. This is never funny, this sequence. This is always, like, funny. Hard to watch.
Dude, I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge horror. I'm pretty much desensitized to all this stuff, but this... Man, this scene, I'm once again, I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
Watching this.
Yeah, no, I remember feeling physically ill. I do remember feeling sick. I watched it because I rented it on VHS with a friend. We had it all weekend, and I watched it like 14 times just that weekend. But even so, every time I got to this...
You sound like me.
No, I was complete obsessive straight away. But even then, like, I still get like that kind of fear sweat with this sequence. It's just horrible. It's so horrible.
Yeah, it is. And I think we got cut off right at this point where I was trying to talk about the difference between the theatrical and the director's cut.
Yes.
I recall very clearly seeing his arm blown off.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever owned the director's cut. So I'm wondering if I saw it maybe on Netflix or something.
Yeah.
And the version they had was the director's cut.
It is definitely, that is a director's cut. I think, it's certainly in the UK, they've broadcast the director's cut a couple of times on UK TV because I've seen it. But yeah, it is. His arm gets blown off. The director's cut is, I think it's about a minute longer, maybe even less. It might only be 40 odd seconds longer. And the extra time is almost all in the executions. So Kenny's execution,
okay.
Kenny's death goes on for another 10 seconds. Murphy's execution runs for another 10 or 15, including his arm getting blown off. And Clarence Boddicker gets a longer death sequence as well. He staggers about and gouts blood a little bit more when at the end of his sequence. So yeah,
I love that. I love that scene. We'll talk about it more when we get there.
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
scene
yeah.
with the
fist spike.
The spike.
Oh, it's great stuff. It's great.
And that taught me a lot about storytelling also. And, you know, setting up early on that he has this fist spike and what the use of it is in the real world.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, home dude has a spike that comes out of his fist because it's cool. He actually uses it to, you know, interface with the technology, and then they actually use that later on in almost in like a horror movie slasher kind of way.
Yeah.
To deal with one of the bad guys. That's awesome.
What's clever about it for me is that, yeah, as you say, they establish it, because the moment you see it come out his fist, you think, whoa, that's really dangerous. But then because it has a use, you sort of forget about it, because you go, oh, right, so that's just how he interfaces with the computer. So it creates that wonderful moment when it comes back where you go, oh, right, like you remember it. So it's not cheating, but it still has a kind of revelatory power.
That's my...
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly my point. It's not cheating. They've set it up, they've built it, and it's there. Yeah. And then it's so good that, like you said, you just forget about it until, you know, it's used again, and you're like, that's brilliant.
No, absolutely fantastic. And it's not exactly rocket science, but it is craft, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing.
Yes, it is craft. Yes.
This sequence I love as well. This long kind of point of view shot, and the for me the nightmarish thing here is like his last memories. He equates the electric shocks with the gunshots. That's really brutal. That's the thing that's going through his brain as he checks out. And then the movie just ends, right? Black screen. We're done.
Yep.
So
and that's
good.
it, man. It feels like you get, and they give you this false sense of security up to the point where he gets shot. That, like you said, like it's a buddy movie. It's like, okay, buddy movie, great. And then all of a sudden, your main character gets turned into a sieve and loses appendages and gets shot in the head, and you're like, okay, where are we going from here?
Yeah.
Especially me, I don't think I even saw a trailer for this before I saw it in theaters.
Right. Yeah, no, I'd only seen the poster, which is, I think, one of the greatest movie posters ever. You know, it's him climbing out the car with the part man, part machine all cop.
Oh, yes.
I mean, holy shit, man. That's how you do a movie poster.
Yeah, I agree. And, of course, in that poster, the face is covered, so you don't know who ends up...
No, that's right. Yeah. This whole sequence, I think, is really audacious as well as a piece of filmmaking. The fact that you've gone for this fixed point of view, you've got the video effect on the screen. You know, that's like the old, thin-lined American broadcast TV.
Yeah, the CRTs.
Yeah, right.
It reminds me of the CRTs. That's what it reminds me of, kind of. I mean, you didn't really have color with those. It's like black and green, but that's what it reminds me of. The line, yeah.
Well, it's
but also, broadcast TV. Yeah, definitely that too. Yes.
Yeah, it's the old US broadcast TV standard. Which again, it's just the guts to do that in a cinema where you know that's going to look really weird on the big screen. You know, and the kind of courage to say, but again, it's storytelling. We know something's wrong with our perspective now, right? We know there's something wrong with his eyes. They've been replaced with cameras or something. It's really smart. I love this whole sequence, though. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one of those movies, and I just sit back and just quote it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was with somebody and this wasn't a podcast and we weren't, having conversations and whatnot, I'd just be sitting here and the person would be, whoever I'm watching this with would just be looking at me, telling me to shut up. Because I'd just be quoting it line for line.
I'm a nightmare for that. My missus, it was she. I came into the room at one evening. She'd paused the TV. It had come on, and she'd paused it on one of those earlier shots of the static. So the screen was literally just a shot of static. And she looked at me, and I just said Robocop, and she was like, "You are fucking kidding me." You know, it's like, no.
That's great. That is great.
It's like, this is my movie. I know this goddamn movie. Yeah. Every frame.
This is Mine's Howard the Duck, man.
Yeah, you said that. That's a whole other conversation we need to have at some point. I'm fascinated where... was that... I mean, is that because of the age you were when you saw it again, or...
I think it was my first... it was my first interaction with, like, a superhero movie. And it wasn't even a superhero movie, but you had this thing, Howard. You had Howard. that was, it's just so weird, man. And I was, you know, I've always been a fat kid, and it was one of those things that I was different, and I've always been different. I still am different.
Sure.
And it was nice seeing this little dude, this little pudgy duck running around saving the day.
Being a badass.
It's like, I relate to this dude, and
Right.
I still love it, and I still to this day have no problem with the fact that, you know, that he was a duck and Leah Thompson was a woman. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's like the only okay sense of bestiality I've ever looked at that and went, yeah, sure, I'll go with that.
No, but you know what? When you're a kid, it doesn't, does it? It just slides off. You don't even think about it. It's a guy and a girl.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, of course, I'm not thinking about the sex connotation, because when I saw it, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, something like
Right.
that. I think it came out in '86, and I went to go see it in the theaters with probably opening weekend. I did a lot of opening weekend stuff when I was a kid, but
Nice.
and it was that I just, you know, I'd never seen anything like it. Anyways, but that movie, it speaks a lot to my age, of course, but when it comes to like the Leah Thompson stuff and the duck, you know, it never even crossed my mind that there was anything sexual, because I didn't know what sex was.
No,
you know?
right.
I was just a little kid.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing. I mean,
That was
I
my
just
whole point. I went well around the barn.
no, don't worry.
That's
That's okay. No, it's cool. It's a conversational show, man. Don't worry. I mean, you saying that reminded me. We sat and watched Back to the Future with my little girl for the first time last night, and she's 8, and that
Wow.
Back to the Future's got some really dodgy stuff in it. But it went completely over her head.
It does.
Yeah, it does, man.
It does. Sorry, I just over here clapping. It does, especially the scene where his mother's trying to put the make on him.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so wrong.
I never thought about that. That's cool. Okay.
But, it just went totally over her head because she's 8 and she just thought it was funny. To her, it's just really just giggly good times. It was really sweet. And you kind of realize, like, okay, so sometimes as adults you bring your baggage to stuff.
Yep. You bring your life experience, whereas these kids, they don't have any life experience.
No, exactly.
That's one of the things about being a father that I've noticed, man. It's the same sometimes, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes I just automatically assume, especially my daughter. My daughter is so mature for her age. Well, at least I think she is.
Sure.
She's pretty much an adult to me, so I treat her like an adult. We watch horror movies together. If there's a sex scene, she just sits there and, there's nothing. If she has any questions, she asks me.
Right.
And then I'll explain it to her, and we've already had the discussion. We had the discussion with her when she was, I think, 11, 12 years old.
Right.
So I'm not. Now I don't know that I'll treat the boy different. Am I going to cover up his eyes when they're, if there's something like that? Will I watch the same kind of thing with him? I actually don't know. I hope not. But with her, she is so mature that I consider her an adult already. And sometimes I take that for granted, and I'm like, wait a second, what do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about? Kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like because she hasn't had that life experience.
Yeah.
So I love this part. That gun is beastly.
Man. And again, I think it probably is. I don't want to get I don't want to get too far down the gender thing, but I think that has a very specific appeal to a prepubescent boy. That gun, you know what I mean? I think
definitely.
There's something very. I don't want to. I don't necessarily need to go into any more detail than that, but I think there is. I remember just the sound of it and the scale of the damn thing and the fact that it fires in bursts and all that and of course the amazing holster, and you're just like, that's just the coolest thing.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yes, the holster in the leg. I don't know who came up with that, but they deserved an Academy Award for that shit.
Definitely.
That was like that. This is one of the coolest concepts.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, he doesn't have a leg anymore. They've replaced a leg, so he can store whatever the hell he wants to in it.
Yeah, and it's like it's 100% secure. No one's getting out of there except for him. It's really smart.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It is, and it also streamlines the design of the character so that you don't have this, this thing hanging off his hip.
Well, there's that thing, isn't there, about the idea that for an iconic character you should know who it is just by the silhouette.
Yeah.
And the Robocop silhouette is that. I mean, we see it, don't we, in a couple of scenes' time, and when the assault's happening, the sexual assault, and he walks on, and it's just this gigantic silhouette appears. And it's absolutely iconic. Fantastic, but the whole suit is just an amazing piece of design, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it somehow they managed to. It was like robots up until this point were either ridiculously, and like think of the Terminator, the endoskeleton. It was either extremely skeleton and small, and you knew there wasn't a human being in there, or the suits were so bulky that it kind of loses the humanity. But in this one, he's the size of a human.
Yeah. No, it's really smart. And I mean, Weller does an incredible piece of work with the acting to sell the weight of the suit, because obviously it was fiberglass, but the way he moves and the sound, actually, I always forget to mention it, but the sound design on this film is so good, because every single footstep of his sounds really heavy,
Yep. I mean, how many times when you were a kid did you do the the noises for acting like Robocop?
All the time.
I mean,
and the movement, the head followed by the shoulders, followed by the hip, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. I love it.
Oh, this is such a great... I mean, this is kind of this is the Judge Dredd sequence, really, but it's so fun.
Yes.
So fun. And I mean...
Cooperation. They literally didn't do shit but just cower in a corner. Like, thank you for cooperation. I love it. Love it.
So great. And the sitcom too, which is never explained. Literally, all we see of the sitcom is this punchline, divorced of context. It makes no sense. I love the feel of that. Again, it's a weird kind of world building, but I think it really works.
But Paul Verhoeven is terrific with that. That's one of the things that he nails in every single one of his movies.
Absolutely. Yeah, even the bad ones.
Yeah. Yes.
Even Showgirls, it's still, the world building's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The acting in that one, man.
Oh,
the acting in Showgirls. But anyways, this iconic scene. Hey, we got to talk about this.
I think we do.
I think I'm pretty sure I asked my sister, and she told me to shut up several times during this movie, but I'm pretty sure it's like, did he actually shoot him in his balls? And another thing, I think this is the first time when I realized it's like, how, that there was that much of a difference between the male and female anatomy. Is like, wait a second, why didn't it hit her? It went between her legs. Why didn't it hit her? What's going on? Like I said, I was raised in a very conservative Christian household. Nobody told me shit till I was about 11 or 12 years old.
It's interesting you say that, because I have had female guests on the show point out to me that sequence is not quite as funny from a female perspective. She's like, more than one guest has said, like, yeah, it's funny to you, but you've got to imagine the woman's perspective of feeling.
Oh no, that's terrible. That's a terrifying thing. First off, just that scene, because just about every woman can relate to that situation, being in the dark and being worried about some creepy bastards chasing them down. Yeah, but man, who have you had on to watch that part? I'd love to listen to one of those. I don't think I've listened to any of the ones with the female guests.
Renee Pickup was really good. She's actually I'm going to get this right or she'll kill me. She's an ex-Marine.
Cool.
And and an author. She's a fantastic author, and she writes some really good non-fiction as well. She's got a blog called Do Some Damage. She's a superb writer. And a podcast. Okay. So she did a podcast called Booze and Books, which ran for about 100 episodes or so. And she's...
Why does that sound familiar? That sounds familiar, like I'd followed it at one point in time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was on it at one point. I mean, it's no longer running, sadly, but I mean, they got Jack Ketchum on it and Bracken McLeod, and just, pretty much everyone had been on it somewhere. I think that was my first podcast ever, actually, that I guested on was Booze and Books. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Renee's, and I watched it with Laura Mauro, more recently. She's a British author, and that was a lot of fun as well. But there's an extensive archive of like 16 episodes.
I'm definitely gonna look up those. Because I'd love to hear a female perspective on this with this kind of conversational podcast.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah, Renee was really good. I mean, they're all good. All my guests have been wonderful. If you're listening,
Yeah.
I rate you all, and you all brought something good. But yeah, I mean, Renee's just a really smart, interesting person. Anyway, she's just I love this sequence as well. The comedy in this is really like it's so. What I love about this is everyone except for Robocop is kind of incompetent. Like the hostage taker's pretty incompetent, but so's the negotiator. He's really bad at his job. Like, you know.
Yeah. Even the hostage taker, he's bad.
No, he's dreadful. He's like
everybody. Yeah.
No, it's really fun.
This is just one of those scenes that oh man! So I just remember that him pulling him through that wall.
Yeah,
it's certain scenes just stick out. Your face is destroyed. First off, let's go ahead and get that out of there. This machine just punched you in your jaw. You're dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he didn't even have to shoot him. He just shattered his face.
At the very least, you're eating through a straw for the rest of your life, right? I
mean... Yeah. You got an NG tube getting your nutrition in you.
Yeah. But I also love the quick cut between him going out the window and then cutting to the news footage of him going out the window. It's just...
Yes.
It's such literate filmmaking, you know. And then we're back in the same studio we were in at the start of the film. Right. I just think it's super, and the way that the news broadcast actors they work as act breaks, don't they? You know.
I remember wanting to play. Yes, I remember wanting to play this game
so badly. I wanted
play
this.
I want this game. I want this game now. I still want this game. Like right this second. I want that holograph game. Yes.
Yeah. I want the. The Syria expansion.
The way
pack,
they
obviously.
updated Battleship. Yeah. The way they updated Battleship to be Nukem. That's just awesome.
It's so gross, isn't it? It's so. But also, you got to remember, like '87, we thought the Cold War was never going to end.
War.
Like,
yeah. This is true. Yes, but that's once again, it's great. It's great fiction.
Yeah,
you're taking the fears of that time frame and. See, there's a huge difference between, like, the pop culture stuff of, like, Ready Player One. I don't know if you're a fan or not. I'm not. I just consider it like Funko Pop the movie, or the book. But there's a huge difference between social commentary like this that roots a story in a certain time frame.
Yeah.
And just, blatantly just going, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember this movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember this movie? That's lazy, I think. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, I call it nostalgia porn.
It's much smarter. Yeah, nostalgia, but that's exactly what it is. That's all it is.
Yeah. Whereas this is...
Oh, this part. Oh.
Look at that POV shot from inside the toilet. That's genius filmmaking, man.
It is.
It really is. That hairy leg with the trousers around the ankles is it's so gross. You know what I mean? It's like,
none of that. All the people like skittering out like cockroaches with the lights turned on. Everything about this scene is great, and he's peeing on himself. Yeah, it's perfect. It's pitch perfect. Like amazing. He is more willing. He is more willing to walk around. Obviously having peed on himself
than stay in that room.
In this bathroom during this.
And what does that tell you? You see, that's the storytelling. Everyone is shit scared of Dick Jones. And that does you better than any villainous speech would have done, right? Just show it.
Yep, you're
show
absolutely
how people behave.
Yep.
Great
Show,
stuff.
don't tell.
God, I love this scene so much, Joe. Both these actors absolutely knocked this one out of the park, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's so great. What I love is Miguel Ferrer. He's trying to front it out, but you can see like he's churning, and it's so well done because he's
what's the word for that? Nonplussed.
Yeah,
he's so nonplussed. Yeah, he's shaken. He's shaken, but he's trying his best not to show it.
Yeah, he's trying to be cool. He's trying to front it out. It's great. Whereas Dick Jones is like totally in control, man. Like he's just so sinister.
Yeah, I also love the fact that they named him Dick.
Oh, it's perfect. Like
so many. Yeah, it's just like him saying what he said, and then just ending on like ellipsis, Dick. You know, it's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, and Clarence riffs on it later, right, where he calls him Richard, which is just beautifully done. It's beautifully done. God, it's so good.
Oh, that is so creepy.
Yeah.
And not even because it's like a man touching another man gently. That has nothing to do with it.
No.
It has to do with like a monster caressing a child kind of deal. Almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost
Yeah,
that same thing where you see like a very gentle thing from a very brutal person, and it's always unsettling to me.
Well, the thing about it is what he's doing is it's invasive, right? It's deeply invasive of his personal space. And what he's saying is, I can do this. You know, it's a power play. It's a pure power play.
Exactly. Yes.
And it's creepy as
You nailed it.
fuck.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it to a T, Kit. It's that invasion of personal space. Is like, I can get this close to you, and you can't do shit about it.
Yeah. And the way Bob is so shaken, as soon as he turns around, you see Bob's face, and he is just totally shaken. And it's great too, because Bob's still a horrible person. You don't like him, but you sort of feel a bit sorry for him, because like he's nowhere near as horrible as Dick Jones. Like he just hasn't had the practice, but you know what I mean. Like
yes, he hasn't had the practice. That's great. Yeah, that's a good point. I love characters like that. The not really morally ambiguous, but the anytime a piece of fiction can make me not root, but make me understand and sympathize with a you know, let's say a villain, a bad guy, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Anytime that happens, I'm a huge fan of that. I try to do that in my own work. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. It's one of the things, actually, funny enough, I'm rereading The Regulators at the moment, and it's one of the things that I think King is really good at is he can write evil, but what he's really good at, I think, is moral weakness.
Yes.
You know, like he's really good at portraying people who are just, they're not exactly evil, but they're so morally weak that they end up in, you know, compromised or dangerous or doing unpleasant things. You know what I mean? And that fuzzy grey area between, you know, morally weak and evil. And he's really good at, and how one can lead to, you know, moral weakness can lead to evil without it necessarily being, you know, the person being completely irredeemable. And it's a similar thing, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about Jesse's father in Gerald's Game that bothers the hell out of me. I don't know if have you seen that one or
I've read both. I'm a big fan of both. I think they're both superb pieces of work.
I think he does that very well. You never feel I've never felt sympathy for a pedophile or anyone who leans that way, but in that story, the way there's almost no physical contact for that part, but it's like, you know, it's so disturbing on a level. It's like, especially when he's trying to explain to her, we didn't actually do anything, right? Everything's all right. We didn't actually, and you get to that part and you just feel just filthy. You just feel dirty being in that presence of that person, and it's like, anyways, but yeah, I think that's I do love that about King, but I think that's one of the only times I've ever been like, this guy seems like he's a good dad, and then hold up here, I can't go down that path with you. I'm sorry, I can't do this, but it's still just for a microcosm of a second. You're like, okay, well they did no, let's back up here, yes.
But that's the other thing, is about how evil self-justifies and how it self-excuses, right? No one thinks of themselves as the bad guy, right? Or almost nobody.
The talented Mr. Ripley. That's one of my favorite quotes. Is no one ever thinks they're the villain of the story. I think that's how it's said. No one ever wants to believe they're the villain.
Yeah, and there's the other line that I really like is from, I think it's Neil Gaiman's one of his Death comics, where Death says, I enjoy everybody's company. I like everybody. And someone says, what, even the scary people? And Death says, nobody's scary from the inside. Oof. And I love that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, really. It's a restatement, but I love that formulation. Yeah. Meanwhile, shit rolls downhill. So, although it was nothing to do with Nancy Allen or the police, they're getting all the grief for the fact that Robocop's gone rogue. I love that.
Yes.
Again, that's corporate
Ooh, that
culture,
look.
right?
Yeah, that look that he gives him though.
Oh,
where
it's
he
great.
that his expression there was perfect. It's like, I am
wonderful.
stabbing you with my mind,
Yes.
and you are bleeding out on the floor. It's so
I am,
good.
I am
So
shooting
good.
you with my mind bullets, and you are dying a painful
Yes.
gut-shot death. No, it's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this part. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. And this is... So someone else was telling me, apparently, Paul Verhoeven considers this guy, the gas station attendant doing the geometry, that's his authorial insert, or directorial insert, I guess. That's meant to be Verhoeven.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. The
Really?
nerdy
Sitting
guy
there
doing geometry.
was that
Yeah.
Yeah, geometry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I almost said algebra, and I have no idea why.
Well, it's all
Look
stuff
at all those
like...
missing children.
Oh,
I
that's
just noticed that.
that's brutal, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. On a
Again,
gas
you know.
station window.
Yeah. Again, it's just a little like world building,
And there's a
storytelling
strip
stuff.
club. I'm sorry. I'm just noticing
No,
some
it's
stuff
okay.
because I'm usually paying so close attention here
Yeah.
to what's to the action that's going on that I never noticed the missing poster. I never noticed that there's a strip club right across the street from the 24-hour gas station.
No, it's yeah. I love the level of detail in it. And again, that's Verhoeven's an obsessive filmmaker. Nothing accidentally ends up in a Verhoeven shot ever. Everything is meant to be there. No, I love this sequence.
Why did
Go on.
going back real quick, I don't think I ever realized that Verhoeven did Showgirls. I always thought that was Schumacher.
No.
I don't think I ever realized that Verhoeven did Showgirls. That's crazy.
Yep.
I just realized that just now. I thought this whole time it was Schumacher.
No, I understand why you'd think that, because it is very, very bad. But no, it is actually, I'm afraid it's Verhoeven.
Oh, come on. Lost Boys is terrific. Come on. I don't know about any other of his movies, but Lost Boys was fantastic.
I think Lost Boys is one of the worst films ever made. I despise
Really?
Lost Boys. Yeah. No, I genuinely, I loved it as a teenager, but I went back and rewatched it a few years ago, and it was one of the most disappointing experiences of my life rewatching that film.
Really?
Yeah, I was so upset.
Wow,
I kind of
wow.
hated teenage me for liking it. I was like, what? Why did I ever think?
Wow, that's
No,
impressive.
it was really. I had an incredibly strong reaction.
That's
There
good.
you go.
I like that.
Oh, this is so. And again, pre-CGI. This is how you do explosions, kids.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
You can feel the
Man.
heat of it, can't you? It's like it's proper eyebrow singer.
Yeah. I'm over here sweating, Kit. That's
Oh,
how
it's
much I
so
can feel
good.
it. Oh gosh! Did you see his head hit the?
Yeah.
The stunt man's head hits not the driver's side door window, but the little window behind that. His head
Yeah.
shatters that. I don't think I ever noticed that before.
Oh,
I don't
really-
know how that stuntman survived that. I mean,
it's a great
magic of
stunt.
movie making, but
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great stunt. And again, you wouldn't think twice. You'd CG that explosion. You'd CG that stunt. That whole thing. But I think
Yeah,
I think you'd lose something through that. I really do.
oh yeah, you definitely would. I think Michael Bay's the only one who's still blowing stuff up for real, just because he's a big kid.
Right?
he actually wants to feel the fire on his face.
Sure.
I just imagine him. I just imagine Michael Bay like filming a movie with a massive boner and just waiting for things to explode.
Well, it's one of the
That's
things.
just how I picture Michael Bay.
It's one of the things I was really happy about when I was reading the pre-hype for the Force Awakens, was when they, it was J.J. Abrams basically saying like, well, the only time we use digital is when we can't do it physically. And I remember thinking like, thank God for that, because that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yeah, and still, I don't. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
That's one of my mottos in life. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's it.
There's a lot to be said for practical effects.
Definitely.
To have an actual model right there in front of your face and not just have a green screen and some tennis balls flying around.
And it makes a difference to the actors. I'm sorry, there are very, very few actors who can act as well against green screen as they can against a model. It changes the way
I
a performer.
agree.
And that's not. I don't mean that as a slight on actors. It's a tough job acting to a tennis ball. I couldn't do it.
No, I couldn't. I think that's one of the things that I am most impressed with, as far as the Marvel movies are concerned, is how much CGI are in those movies, and the actors do such a good job with it. I think that's actually where the DC films have failed a lot. Is you just don't believe that that those things are actually on screen with those people.
Yeah, the list of what's wrong with the DC movies is quite a long one. I think. I think the list of what's right with them is shorter. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Oh God, I think Batman versus Superman maybe that was one of the weirdest. I kept like waiting for it to be good. It was such a weird. It was like you spent all this money. Surely something is going to be good in a minute, right? Very odd.
Yeah. This part breaks my heart. It always does.
Oh, this is amazing.
When he goes home and there's no home any longer.
Yeah.
It's just
And everything. The film slows right down. The score is really beautiful. This really kind of haunting, delicate score. And this is a very, very fast-paced movie, and they just they just slam the brakes all the way down for this and just let it ride out. It's a wonderful bit of filmmaking, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree completely, wholeheartedly. This movie is perfectly paced. Every single scene delivers naturally into the next scene.
Yep. And it's just,
and I love how they use this to make him human again. You've spent so much time with this roboticized cyborg, and he's no longer him. He's no longer human, really.
Yeah.
And then they throw this in there, and they make him human all over again. I love it. This is probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I think the only part that I look forward to more, and this might seem funny, but the only part I look forward to more is dude melting.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the only other scene where I'm like, I can't wait for that scene to come. Yeah. And it's odd because the scene is so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again,
I look forward to it because the connection.
Yeah. No, but it's the emotional core of the movie, this. And again, it's show, don't tell. It's really well put together. And there's also the fact that, it's still not clear how much... Is he hallucinating? Is he... Because he has that wonderful line later where he says, I can feel them, but I can't remember them. And this has that echoes of that, doesn't it? These are almost like... They're emotional memories,
Yep. It does give you more of a feeling than...
And his acting. I mean, he's got like 2 inches of jaw to act with.
and he's killing it.
And he's killing it. Talking of people who should have got the Oscar. I mean...
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has any idea how hard it must have been to do this. To play Robocop. It must have been one of the toughest, when you consider the suit and the hours in the chair and you've got nothing to act with and the movement has got to be spot on because if you screw it up, you're going to completely uncanny valley and fuck the whole thing up. And he is
exactly.
flawless. He is absolutely flawless. And he's on camera almost the
Peter
entire
Weller
movie too,
Yeah, this is true. One of the things Peter Weller was always underappreciated as an actor. He was one of those ones that I couldn't believe that he wasn't in bigger and better movies.
Yeah.
And then it just got to the point where he was just typecast.
Yeah. No, he should have had a massive career. He should have been one of the absolute A-listers.
Same with who is it? Lance Henriksen?
Yeah.
That was another actor that I absolutely loved that should have been I think he should have been much bigger than he was. I feel anyways. Because it might be rose-colored glasses with time, but his work in Pumpkinhead was, I think, the best part of the movie, other than the creature effects.
Well, I'll have to defer to your superior knowledge. That's one I haven't seen yet.
It's a great creature feature, but he does so well it stands out against everybody else because his character is so good he makes everybody else look bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Anywho. But this scene, I didn't understand. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there. I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
I was going to ask. Yeah, 8 years old.
Yeah, I had no clue. And then I find out years later, when I watched this, my brother-in-law at the time was cackling. He was laughing so much at this scene. And come to find out, he was actually on cocaine at the time of watching the movie.
No way. That's like
Yes,
meta
it's
80s right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons why my sister left him.
Oh,
Yeah, he
really?
was a douchebag, but
Yeah.
I loved him. I loved him to death because he
Right.
played guitar, and he was always nice to me. But I had no idea what his demons were. I was just a little kid. I had no idea.
Well,
And
I think...
this part is
this is
fucking
brutal.
good. So,
Yeah. No, it's good. This is... I love... Again, sequences that really, really disturbed me as a kid. This one really did me in.
the kneecaps, man, the knees.
Yeah.
Oh, the legs. Does he shoot him in the knee?
Yeah.
Why do I always? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There. God damn.
Yeah. It's horrible.
No, oh man, I've had knee injuries before, and I can't even imagine getting shot in the knees.
And it's the way the fight goes out of him straight away, and he's pale and terrified, and it's just I think that's so realistic. He's in shock, actually. You look at how pale he is under the eye, how dark his eyes are. He's gone straight into shock. It's really, really smart.
He nailed it.
Yeah,
in that much pain. Not only it's the body's in shock from the pain, and his brain's in shock from, of course, the pain, but also the shock of who's behind this and what's going on at that moment when you see the realization in his eyes.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so... And the sheer sadism of this, again, I mean, for me at 11, it had not occurred to me someone could be this sadistic as to record a message. It's so... the psychology of it is so dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And leaving him there to crawl towards the... Oh.
Yeah, but just out of reach, and then it rolls around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just like, this is the most villainous villain in the history of cinema at that point. I was just like, this is just so good.
Funny story. I always think this part is in the sequel. Like, I know the bad guys are in this one, and I understand that. But I always remember this scene as being in the sequel with Kane, and I don't know why. I think there's a similar scene, but I never remember it being in this one.
Well, the sequel's got that misbegotten war on drugs thing, hasn't it? I don't actually acknowledge the existence of the sequel, but if there was
you don't acknowledge.
If there was one, hypothetically, awesome. I'm sure it would be a shitty Frank Miller knockoff that riffed on the war on drugs and had this horrible reactionary bullshit going on, and took the piss out of liberals, and I'm just not interested. So, but luckily, it never got made. And there's just this wonderful, perfect movie. I love this.
That's great, Kit. That dude is such the typical Don kind of deal. This bald-headed, big mustache, awesome.
Always got a glass of red wine on the go.
The dude in the background is.
Yeah.
The dude in the background to the right, he just looks so clueless. He's like, what? The look on his face is great.
Yeah. He's like catching flies. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. He's like, ugh.
And that move with the glass of wine is one of my favourite. Like, what is that? Why is he?
What's the point of it? What's the point of it? Is he trying to get the vintage or something? What is he doing snorting wine?
It makes no sense. It was someone else pointed out to me actually.
The guy in the background's killing me. Okay, he's finally done something. He didn't move the whole time. He was just sitting there with his mouth open. Now he still looks perplexed.
He does.
He's aiming the gun. He still looks perplexed.
Oh,
so
man.
Good. Look at him. I never know. How did I never notice him before?
Oh, that's
great.
Wonderful.
Oh, here we go.
This really is the gift that keeps on giving, this movie, I swear to God. Every frame is packed with goodness. It really is.
I can imagine what my brother-in-law thought of this scene where they're wasting all this cocaine.
Oh my goodness,
he must have been crying. He must have been internally crying.
Howling with pain, yeah. Oh,
All that gorgeous, gorgeous white.
this is this is so great, and this is like quintess. I'll put this up against any action movie sequence in the 80s you care to name. This is a perfect action sequence. From the opening, it's...
Sorry, fuck you.
Exactly. From the opening fuck you on, this is perfect.
Yep. And this makes me... I'm a huge action fan of like FPS games, the good ones. I'm not talking about the regurgitated Call of Duties and whatnot. But this makes me think of like Crysis, going into a village and marking all of the bad guys, and then going in and hunting them. Well, not hunting them down one by one, going in and knowing where everybody is.
Right.
It seems like that's what it brings to mind. But that was ages before things like that were possible with video games.
Well, this is probably where Crysis got it from, right? I mean, the makers probably saw this. They're the right age. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, let's give them the ability to scout out an area. I mean, that's just like military strategy, but but this you go in, you target everybody, you know exactly where everybody is, and just so methodical also. Yeah. Every single movement is perfect as he's going from person to person.
Well, the show-off shot is when he shoots behind him, right, without even looking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so great. Oh, there you go. What was that, like 90 seconds maybe? Probably closer to 60. Yeah. Oh, just fantastic.
The dude absolutely dead with his arm over the railing.
Yeah.
This is so many good, so much goodness about this.
Oh, it's just...
And this whole sequence.
Right, because this is the moment where Murphy's
face to face.
Yeah. But it's also where Murphy finally breaks programming, right? Because this is where he starts to, in earnest, where we see this is the conclusion of what happened in the house. This is what's changed.
Right.
And I love Clarence slowly coming to the realization, like, oh no, the bets are off. This is I thought I knew how to handle this, and now I don't. And he goes to pieces. It's a great bit of acting.
Yeah. Man.
And seeing a guy get thrown through 3 windows is just awesome.
In and out, yeah. In and out, in and out. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's good stuff right there.
Just the state of Clarence now, man. Like, he is messed up.
Yeah. But it jumps back and forth like that. You know, you have somebody empowered, then that power is snatched away. Yeah. Empower somebody else, have that power snatched away. It's almost a theme throughout the movie.
You know, that's a really good point. And it's so dynamic, isn't it? Like, everything's constantly in a
because, I mean, even Clarence ends up getting power back at the end with those big fucking guns. You know? Yeah. I mean, he ends up getting it back, and he still ends up... He can't make it, but... No.
It's a good run, though. And meanwhile, we've got the strike action, and I love the way this has bubbled away as a B plot. It's been really smart. They've just kept it in in the news broadcast, background conversation with the cops, and now suddenly it's front and center. Suddenly it's blowing up as part of the story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole. It's once again we're going back to world building. Yeah. I mean, you have all this stuff. You feel like you're in the world because there are other things going on that do not immediately affect the plot of the story. It might be connected to the plot of the story, but and that's just plot progression. That's just good, not even exposition, but that's just like I said, world building. Yeah. It's the best part when these little things going on in the background. You feel like that world is lived in. Is what I'm trying to get to.
No, absolutely. And then of course when when bits of that bubble up in surprising ways and become part of the story, it feels organic, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like cheating. It feels earned, and you go, oh right, okay, yeah, I knew that was going on. It's really smart, and yet not everything gets paid off. The fact that the South African government have got a neutron bomb. That's just something that's happened. It's nothing to do with this. But that's okay. It's all in there. It's all part of the mix. No, I think it's really superb.
Yeah, it definitely adds a air that there's a world outside of what's going on in the plot. And I think that's the only purpose really of world building is to put you into the story. And it does.
Yeah. No, and the idea that an action movie would care to tell you about the wider cultural context for the setting.
Exactly.
I mean, I couldn't get through that sentence without laughing, and yet,
yeah,
no, you don't. And that's upsetting.
I like that you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't. It's so bad you couldn't even get through the sentence without laughing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just, this is not what we do anymore, but it's a shame because it's great stuff. And that moment,
I remember this is.
Go on.
No, go ahead. No, mine isn't. Go ahead.
No, it's a little detail, but Dick Jones tapping the desk in time with the march on the score.
I never noticed. Never noticed.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember this. This is kind of off topic, but the video game Robocop versus Terminator. I remember they got this section that you go through this building in that video game, and I remember it being one of the only good parts of the video game because I was like, I know where that is. Nice. I know exactly what that's supposed to be. Yeah.
See, in the video game version of Robocop, I remember this because what happens is you get to this point and your character, Robocop drops his gun and you have to fight head to an eye with your fists. You actually have to punch him.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, in Robocop versus Terminator, you're walking through this, and it's been overrun by T-800s,
nice.
the endoskeletons.
Yeah,
and it's just a steady stream of bullets. It's bullet hell.
Oh, right. That sounds like fun, though. I never played that game, but it sounded like fun.
It was good, but it was annoying in the fact that it was just, like I said, bullet hell. You had to really make sure that you dodged bullets, and you had very few lives.
Oh, okay. So it's like pretty high difficulty level.
Oh yeah. Like most NES games, like it.
Right.
Like Contra.
Right. Yeah. This is such a great twist to the story, though, isn't it? As well, the direct-to-4 thing.
Yep. It had to be there, right? I mean, it had to be there, or else what would stop him from, taking out the company head?
But again,
he's obviously
the cynicism
corrupt.
of it, Yeah.
Oh,
this part. Great.
No, Robo.
Here we go. Yeah. And for the first time, he's vulnerable, right? Because he's been completely bulletproof and everything.
And once again, like I said, he had power, and now it's taken away.
Yeah. And the way they sell this robot fight, the way they sell the physicality of Ed 209 this is a masterclass in filmmaking, in effects filmmaking and storytelling. It really is. So it's just that one shot where the gun is real, and then it cuts to the model, but you've already been sold on the real gun. It's brilliant.
You would know if this is true or not, but I can't remember if it was this one or maybe the sequel that never happened.
Right.
Somebody actually had to put on the legs of one of these robots to walk around in it.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
I seem to remember a featurette on something about that, but it might have been the one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it may have been. I do know that Weller couldn't drive in the suit, so actually whenever Weller's in the suit, in the Robocop outfit, he doesn't have any pants on. That I do know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Great piece of information.
It's lovely, little bit of trivia.
Look at him move.
Yeah.
Look at him move, man.
Oh,
it's so menacing.
Yeah.
And stairs.
Stairs. I love it. Again, stop frame works for robotics really well. Because it is a bit jerky and it is a bit, but it should be because robots are. So the unnaturalness actually works in its favour. It sells it, I think.
Man.
It's so great.
and now it's like a petulant child deprived a toy. But it's maybe not human there, but it's almost it's alive.
Yeah.
You know, in that scene you see it not scuttling, but it's stuck on its back. It's been turtled, and it's like you relate to it. It's like, oh, it's stuck.
But it's also the moment immediately before that where it's about to go down the stairs and suddenly its shoulders come up and it looks uncertain. You could see it trying to evaluate the stairs. It's trying to figure it out, and it's like a dog sniffing at something it doesn't quite recognise. It's really good, man. It's
exactly. Exactly, and and that goes back to what I was talking about. It was one of the great film monsters, is the fact that it is not all metal and machinery. It feels like it. I mean, it has a presence, and it's
it does.
Sentient is what is, I guess, the best way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I said, for me, it's like it's got a Rottweiler brain or something. It's animalistic. Yeah. But it's definitely alive. I agree completely. Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is brutal.
And you wonder, if you want to, this whole scene is brutal. And you wonder if maybe with all the cybernetics and everything, if there isn't something in Ed 209. It just makes you wonder.
Yeah, maybe there is a little Doberman, Doberman hive brain in a jar somewhere. Yeah.
Yes, that'd be great. That'd be great to pull off that dome off the top of it, and just there's a brain in there.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Or if it major malfunctions,
so 1950s horror.
It would, wouldn't it? Or the code word to disarm it is just to call it "good boy," and then it just suddenly stops shooting.
down, boy.
Or to distract it, you just throw a stick, and it will suddenly run after it.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Oh man! Now I want to make a fan film. Where it's just Ed 209 and here, boy, good boy.
And I like the fact that it's
fire.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, movie. It's in the script, but I'm just wondering why don't they open fire before that? Because there's a dozen people standing there that could have, just started shooting at her. But
yeah, well, I think there's a moment of confusion there because Robocop's the target, but she's not Robocop. She's another cop. So
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
this reminds me of Harryhausen.
Yeah, yeah. But I love as well the sheer
6,000 sucks.
Yeah. But don't you as well love the kind of really impish glee of having the ED209 stop frame and then having some really dodgy stop frame dinosaurs straight afterwards? Don't you just love the chutzpah of that?
Yes. Yes, I do. That's awesome. It's see how well we did?
Yeah.
This is what things used to look like.
It's so cheeky.
That's great.
So cheeky.
That's so good.
And also, the first time you see it, it's just perplexing. Why is there suddenly a dinosaur walking down it? It makes no sense.
None. Man, that sweater.
Oh, yes.
That sweater is something else.
That sweater hair earring combination is
perfect.
Quite something.
Perfect 80s.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's the perfect 80s still. Oh, I love this sequence. I've actually had, not this guy, but the next guy in the Vox Pops, this guy, Kevin Rosenberg, unemployed person. That's my profile picture on Facebook sometimes. I love that guy.
He's great. He's another one of those, I'll call them NPCs.
Yeah.
You'd find in a video game. He's just one of those memorable NPCs. You don't see much of him, but when he does pop up, it's I like that guy. I want to see more of that guy.
It's a great way to put it, NPC. And like an NPC, he's purely there for world building, colour, just,
Exactly.
But he's brilliant.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, no, I had a friend of mine create that and he used the same font, but the caption read "Kit Power," author of God Bomb underneath, and I just every now and then that pops up as my profile pic. Yeah, no, I love it. It's absolutely good. I love Clarence flirting with her as well. There, he's such a slime ball, and she's so disgusted.
Yeah, while he looks like he's been in a blender.
Yes, exactly.
Trying to hit on her while he looks like he's been attacked by a mangy cat.
I guess he's all chicks dig scars, but I mean, I don't know. I think you could take that too far, can't you? Yes,
most definitely. He does look like he's been thrown into a bag of cats, though.
He really does, This is as well, it's worth remembering, this is the only scene these two actors actually have together. And they do such a good job, I think, of conveying an entire relationship in this one 4-minute scene. I mean, technically they're in the same scene, I guess, when he's on the video in the murder, but not really. This is the only time they're actually physically
you're right. This is the only time they act together in the same room in the same scene.
Yeah. Well, it's the only time they interact,
Well, you know, right? Yes.
Yeah. But I love it because I'm completely sold on this relationship. You know.
Yeah, that they've been secret friends.
Yeah.
For so long. Well, maybe not secret, but they've been friends for a long time, or business partners.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? What is the word for their relationship? Because it's like there's a certain level of mutual respect, but there's also clearly antagonism.
Right.
I mean, I don't think either of these men are capable of friendship as you or I would understand it, right?
No. Because Clarence obviously has a distaste for this corporate America clown, and Dick is obviously going, you know, this guy is just a thug.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely the derision there in that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think both you got Clarence who would love, you know, Dick Jones's money and freedom, and you also have Dick Jones who would probably love to be a hard ass, like you know, just to be able to kill with almost impunity.
Yeah, it's almost like
they balance each other very well.
That's interesting. It's almost like they mirror darkly of each other, isn't it? It's almost like I like that. Yeah. They are like dark reflections of each other. And the things that attract them are the same things that antagonize them about each other, right?
It's definitely. This part gets me. This is another one of those things where they use props in the movie to fit a purpose, which I absolutely love. When he has to eat, so she's got the baby food, but then he uses the baby food bottles for targeting. Yeah, and that's just one of those things where they're using everything that they have in this world, and even something as subtle as that puts you in the time, in the moment.
Yes,
it's like, oh yeah, he just ate those, so that he would have those things around to use instead of like an old rusty can sitting off to the side. Yeah, you know, he could have very well used that, but no, he's going to use the baby food bottles because it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, for me, is one of the great physical effect shots of all time, I think. I'm gonna say that this is one of my favorite effect shots in cinema. It hurts my brain to look at this because I know how it was done, and I still can't see how it's done. I can't see the joins.
That's damn good.
That's just
man.
Superb.
Wow.
Sorry, listeners. We're just watching and being.
We're in awe.
We are
of the moment.
We are ensorcelled.
You look back and the thing that's that's churning in my mind is what kind of effects they were capable of, and you look at some other movies that came out around this time, and man, this is years ahead of its time.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, there are other people have mentioned to me before that there are sort of Cenobite type qualities to it. It does evoke a little bit because it's the melding of metal and flesh, obviously.
Yes.
But honestly, I think that's this is a better execution of that Robocop. I think that particular face effect and head effect, actually, it's the whole thing, is just incredible.
Yeah. I'd buy that for $1. The plug, it's funny because I was sitting there watching that part and I was like, what did they plug the hole in his head with? Because it almost looks like more flesh. Right. And I wonder if they almost did like a graft situation where they took off a piece of something that part they didn't need just so they could plug that hole in his head. Well, it does look like they just stuck a cork in it.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, that's brilliant, isn't it?
We can't leave this open.
Yeah, the fact that there is a scar there is such an incredible touch, though, isn't it? I mean, that's just like...
Yep.
Oh, brilliant.
I agree. That's one of the things that I appreciate is that little attention to detail. He got shot in the head. That's a traumatic injury, and it's just not going to go away. So they didn't even bother with it. They could have cut that. They could have cut that bit off and stretched his skin more, but no, they left it. Yeah. Once again, it gives him humanity, and it brings you back to what actually happened to him.
Well, and also it's that corporate thing. It's like, well, fuck it, we're sticking a visor on him anyway, so no one will see it. So who cares?
There's no reason.
Save money on a plastic surgeon. Don't bother fixing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
love
it's
this
great.
part. I love this part where they
This
destroy
is
the
pure,
car.
yeah. Now this is pure. Now again, 8-year-old boy, I don't know, but for me as an 11-year-old watching this was just sheer delight. You know,
Big guns and fast cars.
yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, that dude. Can I play?
And I love that. But I also love how
Yes.
Clarence is re-establishing dominance there as well, because he's the only one who's allowed to drive the SUX, so he blows up the other guy's car.
Yep.
It's school bully stuff, isn't it? It's
But it also shows you what that gun's capable of.
yeah.
And everything in this like it. Sorry. Everything in this section is just more plot progression.
Yep.
It's terrific. We've been saying this over and over again, but it's showing and not telling.
Yeah, absolutely. And it works too, because you believe it. These guys, if you give this bunch of idiots a gun like that, this is what they'll do. They will just run around blowing shit up. Because
it's pretty much just Grand Theft Auto. With
exactly.
You get a rocket launcher.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah, totally. Oh man.
Wow.
That when the XXX theater goes up, the guy, and it wasn't a stuntman, it was the actual actor. Apparently, he lost his eyebrows on that explosion. That actually
I had no
was,
idea.
yeah, that was slightly too big. That one.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He singed his eyebrows off. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, he did. It's quite a moment.
That looks so uncomfortable. Every time I see that and when Michael J. Fox is sleeping in Back to the Future.
Yeah, man.
Those are two sleeping moments.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
just
was
looked at it
just
and I'm
watching that with my little girl last night, and I swear to God, I was thinking it when he wakes up back, after he's done the whole time. I was like, that looks so uncomfortable.
It does.
He's got his
And
arms
the same
behind
with
his
her.
back.
You know her. You know her shoulder and her neck is just fucked for the next 3 days.
It's going to be agony, man. Yeah.
Yep.
You can tell we've seen this movie like 100 times each, can't you? These are the things you think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you end up focusing on the little I guess incidentals, these little things, these little incidents that you never pay attention to.
Right, it's the minutia of it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like when like earlier when way back at the beginning of the film when I talk about him patting the hooker on the butt. I don't think I ever would have noticed that had I not been doing this, because
Sure.
I can't really focus too much. If I focus too much on what they're saying and what's going on and watch the movie as I normally do, I'm just going to sit here and watch the movie. But we got to talk, it's a podcast. So so I'm kind of paying attention to stuff on the fringes, on the around what's going on, so that we can talk. And I'm noticing a lot of stuff I never noticed before.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's just a different way of watching the film. And like you say, you start to, different details will jump out at you at that point. Because I love this.
Man, yeah, this whole section, dude, everything about this, I love everything about this part.
Yeah.
And as far as action, I think this is my favorite action scene in the movie. This whole bit.
From now to Clarence choking on his own blood is good. It's good times. It is good times. It's brilliantly sequenced.
The redhead gets so much. I don't even know what the guy's name is. I've never actually paid attention. The redhead one that ends up melting.
Yeah.
He gets such shit. He has such shit luck in this movie.
You know what's weird?
He's treated like a redheaded stepchild.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Like, he has shit like this. He was in ER as well. He played a really grumpy doctor in ER. He had shit like in ER too. He got his hand chopped off by a helicopter in ER. And then he died a season and a half later when the same helicopter fell on him. And I'm not even making that up.
What the fuck?
This guy is just destined to play
I never
characters.
watched ER. I had no idea. That's awesome.
You know how, like, when you get to season 8 or 9 of anything, it starts to get silly. He had a helicopter dropped on him somewhere in season 9. That's how he finally died. It was
my god! What kills me is you said he had his hand chopped off by a helicopter
Yeah.
in earlier seasons, and
That's
then he had
right.
the helicopter dropped on him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's
Now I
just
got to go back and watch ER.
well, just
for
his
that bit of-
just his
for
run.
that
Yeah,
bit of
yeah,
character
yeah.
development.
Absolutely. But it's like this guy is really unfortunate.
Yeah,
Oh, this is so great. And the theme again.
that poor car was not built.
It wasn't. The score is a Western theme here as well. Like it really picks up. Such a great sequence.
Oh wow, I never noticed that. Oh, I love this part.
Yeah. Here we go. Hey, you
I'm just gonna go ahead and say there's
Go.
no way he ducked out of the way of those bullets, but okay.
yeah, but whatever.
There's a nice collection of bullets on the windshield there.
Yeah.
And oh, this is so gnarly.
Yeah.
I remember. This part is terrific, but it makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh, it's so horrible. And this is like, I think you could sell this as a horror movie just on this sequence. I really do. I mean, this is...
this is definitely subgenre of... Well, it's like the subgenre of melt movies. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but yeah, this definitely harkens back to that. And then he gets hit by a car, dude.
And in a weird way, it's the kindest thing that could have happened to him, really. Because, like...
Yeah.
I mean, what does the rest of his life look like?
Melting to death.
Exactly. It's, nothing good is gonna come.
That hubcap.
Yeah.
I wonder if that hubcap hit the cameraman.
Little bullet reference. I mean, help me, like, dude. I don't know how to break this to you.
What do you need, a Band-Aid?
Yeah, and I love the way Ray Wise, speaking for all of us, just says, "Get the hell away from me!" Like,
Yep.
like, sorry, dude. No, it's so great. And again, like the amount of hours he must have spent in the chair for 45 seconds of effect shots.
His head rolls up the windshield.
Oh,
everything.
yes!
He just
Yeah.
obliterates him.
He just explodes. And I think like the waste has been eating him up from the inside. You know, like he's rotting,
Yeah.
and that's like,
Oh yeah, he's been cooking
yep.
and just rotting. And
Yep. And he just sloughs apart. It's just so good.
I was mad at this part too. I was like, you can't kill her.
Oh yeah. Well, and again,
I
you were
was
talking
mad.
about how the power dynamic shifting
Yes.
again and again, and here it's a goddamn seesaw, right? It's just moving almost every 5 or 10 seconds. The power balance is shifting here.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah,
it's-
exactly. It all comes to a head. That's why I said
Yeah.
it's almost the theme of the movie.
yeah,
It's like a matter of power and being stripped of power, gaining power, stripped of power.
yeah.
Man.
And this is fantastic. And again, the editing here, this is like you are never lost. There's a lot going on here,
Yeah.
hell of a lot of moving elements. You know exactly where everyone is the whole time, and it's
But it is very close up and it's very in your face.
Yeah.
The characters are, like you said, also. But there's that compared to the juxtaposition of the close ups of like these, and then the wide shots.
Yes,
So it's like, all right, here's the overall picture.
yeah,
Here's what's happening on a personal level.
Yeah.
Overall, personal.
yeah. No,
Great.
it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you don't know right up to the point where the jaws,
Oh!
yeah. But right up to the point where they
Right.
open, you don't even know if he's been hit. It's not literally until it lands that you see he's been hit. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then Nancy Allen's like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I love Clarence's face there, the disappointment on his face.
Exactly.
So
Yes. That's what I was laughing at. He's like, wait, fuck, what happened?
It's like, God damn it. Oh,
Yeah.
talk about brutal, man.
Oh,
Oh,
ow. And then he goes and then he pushes it.
yeah.
Yep. There it is.
Oh, that splash.
Ah.
That's
Who was
one of the
standing
great
there?
deaths as well.
Who was standing behind the car? Never mind. Sorry, I just saw something
Oh, that's okay.
that I don't think I've ever seen before. It's just somebody standing in the background.
Someone else said that to me, you know. I still haven't spotted that. I need to, yeah.
Yeah, after it's done, go back to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. I think someone else mentioned that. Whether it's a cameraman or something. I don't know.
It's really fucking creepy. because it's almost like a Slenderman looking kind of thing.
Oh,
Because
really?
It's a black suit and like a blurred gray face.
Hmm.
Very creepy. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it too.
Yeah. Oh man, look at the state of that car.
Yeah, I love. Man, I keep saying this, but I love this part.
Yeah. Well, this is Raiders of the Lost Ark, isn't it? This is the guy with the sword and Indy pulling the gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you nailed it. Yeah,
It's
this
one
is
of
it
the-
where he pulls out the gun and shoots the guy with the sword.
And like that
It's
is a
back.
gag. That's a gag that'll never get old. It's one of the great gags of cinema. Why would you know?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep. It's like, haha, I'm a
Yeah.
little more powerful this time, asshole.
And again, what you were saying earlier about the robotics and the animalistic thing, the fact the legs keep walking, that's like a chicken with its
Yeah.
head cut off. That's an animal thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. A chicken with his head cut off.
And the twitching toe is just, oh,
Yes. The
It's-
twitch of the toe is perfect. Yes.
goddamn art. It really is.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And here we go. And notice as well, what are we, 3 minutes away from the end? This film doesn't, I mean, once
Yeah.
it's done, it's done, you know. It doesn't muck about.
No. What's the pacing? Again, there's not
Yeah.
a wasted moment.
No.
I love the twist here. I call it the twist. Like, you're fired.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And what I love about it is it solves Directive 4. It works in fiction. But what I also love about it is the cynicism of it. Because what it says is the power ultimately still resides in the corporate structure. And it undercuts the whole thing about, the good guys win. Well, not really. It's just one of the bad
Yeah,
guys
good point.
allowed him to kill one of the other bad guys, you know?
Yep.
It's very, very cynical. Which I like.
Yeah. I'm big on nihilistic and cynical fiction as well.
Yeah.
This part, this is another one of those. Every time in his boardroom, I think something good's about to happen, but it doesn't. Like, you're gonna get this. Well, it does this time. It didn't the first time, but
Yeah.
so you wonder. Both times in here, somebody gets killed. One time, it's a tragedy, and the other time, it's the final comeuppance. Boy,
Yeah.
that didn't age well. The
No.
the claymation on him falling out the window.
The falling shot. Something's
That didn't
very,
age well.
very wrong with his arms in that shot. Yeah.
Yes.
It does not work. It's I have to in terms of bad guys falling off of buildings, I have to give Die Hard the edge on that particular
Yes.
moment. I'm afraid, much as
Hans
it
Gruber.
pains me to
Yes.
say that because I'm a Robocop loyalist, but I have to say Robocop.
Man,
wins.
I miss
Hard
Alan
wins.
Rickman. God,
Oh.
I miss Alan Rickman.
Yeah, no, he was.
That was a tragedy. Anyways,
What a talent,
dude,
dude.
that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Me too. I've had a blast. This has been Watching Robocop with Kit Power and Edward Lorn. And E, as the credits roll, would you please let the people listening, let them know where they can find you and find your work? Because you're a busy man, I understand.
I try to stay busy. You can find all of my stuff on Amazon.com. Just search for Edward Lorn. I have several novels and several short story collections. My newest one is The Sound of Broken Ribs, and I have The Bedding of Boys coming out this summer. Also, I have a limited edition run going through Thunderstorm. We're about halfway through it, but with my Bay's End, All Things Lead to the End cycle. I also have my own YouTube channel where I do Stephen King related content and even some Is It Nasty food reviews with my wife. You can stop by there. Once again, just search for Edward Lorn. And then, let's see here. What else? You can find me on Twitter, where I am probably the most active as far as social media is concerned. Once again, it's just at Edward Lorn. And that's everything, I think.
And I recommend doing all those things. My own personal recommendation, I've heard great things about Sound of Broken Ribs I haven't managed to get to yet. It's sitting on my Kindle. I'm getting to it soon. But I read E's book Cruelty, the first part of that, and that's absolutely superb. I can't recommend that highly enough. If you like it's got a great blend of actually, some of the stuff we were talking about, there is a kind of 80s slasher aesthetic to it, a kind of pulpy, murdery thing going on, but there's a lot more going on than just that. And there's some
there's a lot under the surface.
Yeah.
There's some cosmic horror there. It thrown in on top of it, so it's a much bigger thing under the surface than what it initially appears to be.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, what I like about it for me is it doesn't sell you short on any of the elements. So, if you're attracted by that kind of thing, you're going to get it. It's really, it's brutal and it's exciting, but there is also an awful lot going on under the hood. And if I may say so, I particularly enjoy the character work in it. It's just there's a big cast of characters, but they're superbly well drawn, man. And you get to know them very quickly, and they've got distinct voices, and it's not until you read that stuff done badly that you start to appreciate it done well, and you've done it very well in that book. So I recommend Cruelty to anyone listening.
Thank you, Kit.
But go check out all this work.
That.
I'm sure it's all very good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of your stuff too. I need to get to that. I need to get to your collection. God Bomb is one of the best. One of the best. Is it a small press or was it indie? Because it's one of the, as far as that is concerned, it's one of the best I've read in probably the past 5 years.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind. Yeah, they're an indie press, the Sinister Horror Company. Yeah, but thank you. Yeah,
fantastic. It easily one of my favorite small press releases in the past 5 years, and that list is really short, Kid. You know how picky I am.
Yeah, you are. Like, that's the other thing I should mention about you, actually, before we close as the credits roll. Like, check out Edward on Goodreads, because he's a very active reviewer there. And this man, I got to tell you, he has opinions, and he's not afraid to express them, and that is a good thing. I commend you for that, because not everyone's prepared to do that, but you're an honest reviewer, and it's well worth checking out.
I don't see the point. Yeah, I just don't see the point in lying to people. I mean, if I don't like something, I don't like something. It has nothing to do with any kissing butt or lack thereof or any of that stuff. It's just I'm good, and because I'm a reader first. That's what I tell everybody. Yeah. I am on Goodreads. That's why I don't usually promote. Not that there's any problem with you bringing up Goodreads, but
sure.
I don't usually promote Goodreads in association with my author stuff because I'm there as a reader. Yeah. I'm just a part of another part of the community.
Yeah, but I the other thing that I've enjoyed about your reviewing work is what I think you do that a lot of reviewers miss out on is you're honest about when you dislike something. You're very good at distinguishing between when you dislike something because of your own personal aesthetics and because it's actually just like objectively bad. You're very good at drawing that line. So I've read reviews where you've said like, I didn't care for this, but it's good writing. It's just not my cup of tea or whatever. And then other times where you've gone like, no, there's technical problems with this that make it bad writing or whatever. You're capable of drawing that distinction, which again, a lot of reviewers miss the boat on that. They mistake their personal taste for objective reality, and you draw that line very well. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I try to make that as obvious as possible. It's like, look, this is not my cup of tea, but at least it is technically sound. At least if this is your cup of tea, then you're not going to have any problems enjoying this whatever. Yeah. So thank you. I'm glad you feel that way.
No, definitely. I mean, for me, a sign of a good review, I think a really good review doesn't. What it tells me is whether or not I'm going to enjoy the book, not whether or not the reviewer did. Like a well-written review will tell me whether the book is for me, not whether or not it was for them. And I think you managed to do that. So kudos for that. Just as someone else who does reviews, it's a bugbear of mine. So.
Well, another thing on top of that is one thing that several authors need to understand is negative reviews sell books too. For the exact reason why you brought it up is because one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Absolutely.
I could say I hated this scene because this happened, and somebody else could look at that negative review and go, "Oh, I love that shit," and jump all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the same. I mean, I think that's the same with all art. I think that's the same with movies. That's the same. I mean, I always think like some of my favorite video games were like 6 out of 10 video games. And, I know they're objectively not good, but they hit the sweet spot of the thing that I love. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
and a good 6 out of 10 review will tell you that. You know, I'll read it and go like, okay, all the stuff he didn't like, I don't care about, and all the stuff it just sounds like it's right up my alley. And it's the same with any kind of art. So yeah, I think that's good stuff. Anyway, man, the Lions roared. We're through the credits. I'm keeping you unduly.
Yes.
So yeah,
Right.
no. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully we'll get to talk again before too long. And as I said, yeah, everyone listening to this, go check out his work. He's a superb writer. He's a superb reviewer, and the YouTube channel stuff's just great fun. He's really knowledgeable on Stephen King as well. And as you know, I'm a fan. I know knowledgeable, and this guy's the real thing. So yeah, go check that stuff out as well. E, huge pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Thank you for having me, Kit. It was an absolute blast. Thank you.
All right, man. And stopping recording.
So that's it. That's our show. Thanks again so much to E for agreeing to come on. I hope you enjoyed his appearance as much as I did. It was absolutely fantastic. If you did enjoy the show, again, just a reminder, if you want to hear the next show at least 7 days before anyone else in the world will get a chance, head on over patreon.com/kitpower, pledge $1 a month, get early access to Robocop, My Life in Horror, and basically everything else I ever do. On a weekly basis, you will get exclusive early access to content. And thank you so much to all of you who are still backing me every single month and helping fund this project. It wouldn't be possible to do this without you. I couldn't afford the hosting fee, so thank you for continuing to make this crazy project of mine possible. You are all absolutely amazing. Next month's show will be another episode of Kit and It, guests to be announced, but you'll be finding out about that fairly soon. And Robocop, watching Robocop with Kit Power will return in 2 months' time. Also, just a reminder while we're talking about podcasts, Wrong with Authority is going from strength to strength at the moment with plenty of new content happening over there. Just go to the Wrong with Authority blogspot page to download our episodes. We've recently done episodes about Braveheart. We've also done commentary tracks for Ghostbusters, Die Hard. And there'll be one dropping very soon on Raiders of the Lost Ark. So if that kind of thing floats your boat, head on over to wrongwithauthority.blogspot. Still, until next time, when we will be talking Kit and It. Go, Robo!